This is Patitos Gang, and you're welcome to this episode of the program. We are looking at the state of the nation. When the APC government came to power, they had three objectives that they wanted to accomplish. One is to fight corruption. Two is to grow the economy so that they can create jobs. And three, insecurity, to provide security for the average citizen. But we're looking at how far have they gone? 3 years down the line, in a few months' time, elections will come. Have they been able to achieve all of this? Gentlemen, state of the nation.
No two people will look at this situation or scenarios, whether within the APC government or the government that came before APC, or indeed since 1960. David Henry Thoreau made a point that it is not what you look at that matters, but what you see. So it's been a mixed bag. As we speak today, 28 states out of 36, plus the Federal Capital Territory, are in one state of turmoil or the other. Either salaries to civil servants are not paid, labor is at loggerheads with government. Yes, we are big.
It's not only states, just to remind, federal government also.
The states, or the state, well, the states make up the federal government.
Yes.
And unemployment rate has gone high, both latent and real. Inflation keeps on climbing, even though pegging at about 13%. Some economists will tell you that perhaps it will have been worse, but from one or two things that the EFRG has introduced. Ease of doing business moved a bit of a notch up, but again, it's been at snail speed. The insecurity in the Northeast is not abating. In the Middle Belt and down south, kidnapping, and so many of these rancors keeps on showing their faces. All put together, there is hope that if we get our politics and our economics right, and we get the right vision, we get the right leadership, and we begin to show example in the way and manner we do our affairs, getting the private sector to be at the driving wheel, government just providing the enabling environment, will do better.
Okay, so for me, I will start first with the economy, because that is what keeps us as a nation. When in the last 3.5 years or so, for the very first time in a longer time, we suffered the depression. So we went into recession, and then we came out of it, but it's threatening, even as at now. If you decouple the economy, you will see that it's still been largely driven by oil. The non-oil sector, they are suffering, declining in so many ways. Manufacturing is down, even agriculture is down, almost everything is down. And until you begin to see growth in all of that, the fundamentals will not be right. There are some specific infrastructure we needed to have put in place that we have not even done at the speed and at the depth which we need to have done them. So we're going to continuously suffer for that. Thirdly, we are growing poverty at an alarming rate. And so the population growth rate is 3%. The GDP itself is 1 point something. So every year, we just continue to grow. In fact, now we have been declared as one of the few poverty capitals of the world.
Indeed, the worst.
So until we do something, it's a spiral movement. Now let's move then into security. Security has a way of giving confidence to investors. Unfortunately, the zeal with which we started seems to have dwindled. I recall after the inauguration, we moved the base to Maiduguri. That was a major signal. But after that, what has happened? Those guys are getting some kind of upper hand. Then some moves that we have also made lately, or we have been seeing around the Middle Belt, around, even some northwestern states. It's not making everybody to be, rest assured that this is where to stay. And so people are taking off and holding up at the fringes and waiting for May 29 next year to pass. And then we will see what happens after that. But in the interim, portfolio investors are out of town. Yeah. That is a major issue. And then corruption, we seem to have started something. We seem to have unearthed some things. But you know what? We're also not understanding where those
gains,
proceeds or gains are going.
Yeah.
There is not enough transparency around either the use or the way in which they have been managed. There are lots of questions around some of those objectives which we have set for ourselves. And almost 4 years down the road, we are still asking the same questions.
I totally share Banky's position that recession is threatening again. We are at the boundary of recession. When we exited recession the last time around, a lot of analysts pointed out the fact that what really happened was a technical exit, that the fundamentals still show a very, very frightening picture. And that's the reality we have on ground today. So long as we are unable to curtail our consumption, we are consuming more than we are earning, the likelihood that we may not even be talking of recession but depression, the experience will be worse. No matter the gains in the oil prices, no matter the gains in federally collected tax revenue, until this show on the faces of Nigerians at home, whatever thing we talk about, whatever we say about growth or development is a mirage. The populace will just not support government until this starts to matter in their homes in terms of what is on the table. The fight against corruption, Banky was right. Yes, the initial strategy was good. Moving the headquarters of the defense security to Maiduguri showed that, yes, we are ready for war. But it has turned out, it's now turning out gradually to be like an entertainment. A film scenario that has part 1, part 2, part 3. Nobody's really sure who is winning. Propaganda has gone down. Whether Boko Haram is winning, whether it's Federal that is winning, is no longer the issue. The point is 3.5 years down the line, the battle is still on in the East. With regards to infrastructure, a couple of weeks back, information came out from the presidency that a lot of funds have been returned back to the Federation account, unspent money. I would rather than applaud government, I would rather say it's a sad commentary on economic managers. Yes. Because the money being returned are not salaries, but money budgeted specifically for infrastructure development. Capital expenditure.
Rashid, we must situate it. No, but I agree with you, and I agree with Banky. The gains that we have seen has been fragile, it's not been inclusive, and it's not percolated down. It's true. But picking it from where you stopped, I think our politics also has not helped the economy. The monies that were returned, please don't forget, you have to now tweet that within when the budget was approved, when the procurement process will take its natural course. I am not giving an excuse.
No, even if you give an excuse.
But the point is that at one point in time in the history of fiscal federalism in this country, such monies will have found their ways into private pockets. Okay? So it's...
I have a problem with that.
I have a problem with that. There is a misnomer.
Yes.
It came up and you say, we want to increase... we want to increase capital budget by 30% of the budget. So everybody applauded because we knew the implication. Mm-hmm. The next thing, you are returning money.
The same thing happened in 2007.
I think what we need to appreciate is that as manager of men and resources, no matter how late or how uncooperative National Assembly is, as a manager of men and resources, you will have failed if you allow the negotiation of the Assembly to go the way it went. you know the implication of the capital expenditure. Whatever it will take is the responsibility of the executive to deploy all resources.
I dare say that we have a peculiar political system and structure. And we had a president in this country that was strong and was boisterous and was going to muzzle his way around, and he nearly got impeached. Obasanjo nearly got impeached. So I think it's a balance. I agree.
Okay. Gentlemen,
I agree with you.
Gentlemen, let's hold it there.
Okay.
We go on break.
To get the president impeached on
Yes,
national issues.
Rashid,
If that happens, the president will come back to the ballot.
Yeah, Rashid, let's hold it there. Let's go to the street and speak to Nigerians on the street, and then see what their thoughts are concerning the state of the nation. Don't go away, we'll be right back. You're still watching Patitos Gang.
When the government is seen that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
To assess the state of the nation, I think I would love to speak as a citizen. At the moment, I think I could just simply describe it. Nigerians are not really smiling at the moment. Things tend to be tough for the common man. You know, as someone that is out there in the field, sometimes you hear people complain where even some basic needs like food, transportation and all the rest is becoming a challenge. The situation seems to be very harsh. And of course, my heart particularly goes out to the Nigerian students who have been in the house for some time now due to the ASU strike. And I hope the government and ASU find a common ground to resolve that as soon as possible, because it's not something that is healthy for the nation at this point in time.
But before that, people are concerned about how they feed themselves. People are more concerned about how they get their daily bread, where they go to work, how convenient it is, how they will pay their children's school fees. These are what concerns them. Even though politicians are there trying to campaign again, they have come back again to tell Nigeria, vote for me, I will do this, I will do that. But nevertheless, Nigerians are wiser in this 2019. They will not always take their word again, because they have promised. In most cases, they will not deliver. I think that what my major concern is that let the electorate be wise.
So this is the pedagogy of the determined. Our teaching approach in CVL is to ask everybody who has come to learn something about leadership to ask themselves what kind of world, what kind of company, what kind of society they'd like to see, and what kind of knowledge will equip them to provide the kind of sacrificial giving of self for the good of others that will lead to the synergy that will enable them get to that destination. So this is the very base model of how we teach leadership at the CVL.
The bane of the crisis in our economy is lack of positive leadership. CVL is working assiduously to impact other stakeholders to ensure that we get the leadership question right.
Leadership affects every aspect of our lives, from our homes to our places of work to our society as a whole.
What is special about CVL Leadership Management Training? Our focus is solely on leadership and how it helps performance. Our unique selling point is based on our teaching method for 3 levels of staff in organizations.
We encourage you to register your employees for one of our training programs today.
We are back. You're still watching Patitos Gang. We just finished talking to Nigerians on the street, and we have heard their opinions and all that. Back to what Rashid and then the comment that Aki made. In 2007, the late Umaru Yar'Adua, former president, came out on national television to announce to Nigerians that some monies were returned, that he saved Nigeria money. Meanwhile, the implementation of the budget was just 28%. And since in 1999, that has not gone beyond 30% of implementation. And you're proud to say that you returned money. how do you save
Oh,
if
no.
you don't invest?
Oh, no.
How do you create jobs if you don't invest?
Not that.
So
not that we are proud. And get back to Banki's position. The infrastructures are all waiting to be struck. And in all fairness, very, very slow. We see network of roads going on. We see railways coming up. Like he says, too little, perhaps coming too late, but better late than never. The point I'm just making is the fact that when you are in the cockpit, sometimes the pilot sees what in the cabin will not see. I am certain that I have hope eternal. I have hope eternal that my country, Nigeria, whether we are looking at this regime or we are looking at the regime, the other one to come, or you want to compare with the past, we are in the positive territory.
Let's point out a few positive things that have happened in the last few years. One, prior till now, the banks have seen or have been seen to have been dislocated in terms of development within the country. But recently, 5% of the profit after tax of the banks have now been set aside as investment capital into the small and medium enterprises. That, for me, it's something that is very interesting. It's an improvement on the elsewhere SMICE. It has longer tenure, it has moratorium, it has lower interest rates, and then it has no collateral. These are the key things that used to worry most of the small businesses. And somehow, that have started is getting to the hands of the people. It's slow. If there is a way in which it can be decentralized and then people can move a bit rapidly, I think that has one positive way.
Let me interject, Banky. Now that you're saying that, how is that different or better than encouraging venture capital?
It's different. It's different.
You know, which one should we be doing? Is it encouraging more venture firms or dealing with this?
It's a mixture of the two.
This model will get faster to...
No, it's a mixture of the two, because you need debt capital and then you also need venture capital, equity. And what is being done is that the fund is divided into three, basically. One is debt, and that is going through the banks, the commercial banks, and the microfinance banks. And then there is a small component for capacity building, which is very, very important. And that's how they hinge it. So you cannot actually access that fund until your capacity has been built. That is very important. And then the last one is actually the one for VCs. And so they're also using it to develop. It's a three-pronged approach. Again, we have not started seeing the full benefits of this, but it is definitely better than what we used to have in SMICE. So it's one positive thing.
Okay.
For me, beyond the economy, I think we should also, I mean, they are interlocked. We should also see the serious outrage that is out there in the countryside. People cannot have a square meal. Millennials are coming up and they are just dissatisfied with the whole system. You go on the streets, people are jumping into lagoons and committing suicide. The kind of education that we have has, and I will be the first to say, has been very, very dysfunctional. And Banky, you talked about the fact that we are now first from the bottom in terms of poverty capital of the world. All these people are Arsenals, not the football Arsenal now, Arsenals are time bombs waiting to explode. And before you know it, the rate to which the mental capacity of the average Nigerian will continue to be at balance, it's enormous. So very, 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 very important that this needs to be looked at, and that, you know.
Why I understand what you are saying, I would like to take a different approach. If you look in the last 5, maybe 7 years, you will see that something interesting is beginning to happen. When you have a situation like this, it's a veritable source for disruption. And then you will see that in the last 5 years, we've had multiples of disruption, largely coming from Nigerians in diaspora that are coming back home. And that's very interesting. Look at the likes of Flutterwave, Paga, the rest of them. Look at social lenders. Do you know that, in fact, somebody was telling me a couple of days ago that a microfinance bank, it took them about 1 decade to be able to hit a loan portfolio of about 1 billion. Now, with these social lenders, it took them 6 months to hit the same amount with 8 or 9 staff. Meanwhile, these other guys have multiples of branch networks and everything. What is happening is that situations that we have described means that people that have superior creative and entrepreneurial skills will devise methods. And it's fantastic. That is what we need to do. That is what the government needs to support.
These social lenders, do they lend to, if I want to organize my birthday party, is that what you
No.
mean?
It's not like that.
They'll tax
these are fintechs. These are fintechs people. The interesting thing about them is that it's not that they lend a lot of money, 10,000, 50,000, in some cases 100,000, to help your business to do this. The interesting thing is that they don't take a lot of time before they approve it. So the social lender I'm talking about uses your social media footprints to be able to determine whether you're a right guy to lend money to and whether you will give money. And all that decision is taken in less than 5 minutes. Now, they can use with your phone and things, they can actually, you guys, you can give you 20,000 and they know you will pay.
Banky, I agree with this techie. Where I have my fears is that it comes and lands on our soil and they meet policy inconsistencies such that, as we speak, the stock exchange downward trend has gone down. Capital flight, and that is the truth, is flying through the windows. If only what you have described, which I think I appreciate, can come in and meet an enabling environment where policies are consistent, no somersaults, we don't have all this retinue of multiple exchange rates and all that kind of thing, and then again,
it's a good concept. What Aki is saying is that the sustainability. How long can this?
Austin, maybe before Banky come back again. The scenario Banky has just painted shows clearly that government needs to get out of business and allow business to be in the hand of the private sector. Since we returned to democracy in 1999, the sing-song from Abuja had been that every government had come to say the private sector is on the driving seat.
And yes, they do the opposite.
But they put the private sector on the driving seat and go away with the key of the car. So they go
away with the engine.
So what we have on the private sector economy is a cavity without an engine. I think that's so bad. If government is big business, because government is the single largest employer of labor, single largest earner in the economy, and also remains the single largest spender. They should do things the business.
Because we don't have much time.
There are two things I want to say. One, government is actually crowding out the private sector. If I have cash to invest today, I'll put it in treasury bills rather than put it in private. So that's one. Secondly, there are some signals. There are some signals that makes investors to put a question mark on the dealings. What happened to MTN it's not going to go away very quickly, and investors are going to be talking about that.
All right, gentlemen, that's very nice. We've been talking about the state of the nation. We have talked about the positives and some of the things that is going on in the country, and the investment funds that banks are required to pay. That's one major thing to help small and medium-sized businesses. And we have a long way to go, but it's not something that we discuss in one day or we get there in one day, but we keep pushing and keep on making the right policies that will encourage businesses to take charge, to be in front, and the government to take the back seat. Let the conversation continue on the social media handle, and don't join us in the discussion, and let's continue talking about the state of the nation. And one day we get there. This is Matito's Gang. See you next time.